behavior or UMA, which causes some confusion, but we are different people. I'm here to present part of the findings of the Uganda Aquaculture Census report on behalf of the Executive Director. That is our outline for today. We shall have an introduction. We have the methodology that was used in the census. We shall present the findings, and finally, the summary findings. To give you an introduction, our objective of undertaking this census was to obtain aquaculture. The main objective was to generate data on the structure of aquaculture sector and also the production levels. Specifically, we went out to establish the number of aquaculture farms in the country, establish the number of farms with selected aquaculture facilities, establish the production levels, production methods used, and also obtain data on the production by species, and we also obtained data on the access to aquaculture extension services. Since some of these terms are not common to all of us, I'll just take you through some of the concepts and definitions that we utilized during the census, and one of them is the aquaculture. Aquaculture is the farming of aquatic organisms such as fish, crustaceans, mollusks, plants, and it involves rearing aquatic organisms under controlled or semi-controlled conditions, but we exclude ornamental fish in aquaculture. For the purpose of this census, the Uganda Aquaculture Census of 2025, our main focus was on fish farming. Water-based aquaculture is practiced in permanent water bodies. This could be lakes, rivers, and swamps, and we use facilities such as cages and pens. Aquaculture can also be land-based, and this is practiced on the land using facilities, notably ponds and tanks. About the aquaculture census, it is a large-scale statistical operation for collecting, processing, and disseminating data on the structure of aquaculture, covering the whole or a significant part of the country. What is an aquaculture farm? An aquaculture farm is an economic unit of aquaculture production under single management, comprising all aquaculture facilities without regard to title, legal form, or the size of the farm. And for this census, a farm was considered an aquaculture farm if it had fish stocks at any point in the reference period. Our reference period was July 2024 to June 2025. A grow-out farm. A grow-out farm is an aquaculture facility where fish seed are raised until market size. While a hatchery is a specialized facility for breeding, hatching, and raising early stages of aquatic organisms before transferring them to grow-out units. In preparation for the undertaking and collection of aquaculture data, we went through this process, our census process. We had consultations with our stakeholders, and our major stakeholder in this aquaculture census was the Ministry of Agriculture and all its agencies, given their responsibility. And through these consultations, we were able to develop a questionnaire, after which enumerators were recruited throughout the country, and these were trained. The training involved both the supervisors, the planner, and the district fisheries officer. We later went out to collect data, and data was collected between May 2025 and June 2025. From that point on, we have been doing data processing and analysis, and a report has been prepared, and today we are here to disseminate the findings of the census. This whole process was undertaken to ensure quality, and we also did validation. Actually, even after the census, we also went out to do validation to ensure that the statistics we provide are of quality. Our methodology used in the census. This aquaculture census was complete coverage. We went everywhere in the country, and we used the lists that we had obtained in the National Population and Housing Census of 2024. This was complemented by district farm, aquaculture farm lists that were provided by the district local government. All this was done to ensure that we have complete coverage. We covered freshwater and land-based aquaculture. We also covered grow-outs, and we also covered hatcheries. Our scope, or the scope of the census, our reference period for the data that we collected was July 2024 to June 2025. This ensured that we have data for a 12-month period. Our data collection period specifically was May 2025 to June 2025. Our statistical unit from which we collected data was an aquaculture farm. And so when we went to the district, we were looking out for aquaculture farms. We collected data on several variables, and some of them are here. We collected data on farm characteristics, for example, the nature of production activity, the facilities on the farm, and the main purpose why the farm was undertaking the aquaculture. We collected data on production methods, and the production methods included ponds, cages, tanks, and other methods. We also collected data on the production volumes and how they utilize this production. We collected data on fish species, the inputs, for example, labor, feed, seed, machinery and equipment, and also extension services. Now we dive into the production methods that are used. Here we have some pictorials just to show you some of the production methods. For example, to my left, to your left, we have cages above and below. And then to the right, we have an example of a pond. And that one behind there is one of our enumerators in the field. Here, we also have an example of a tank, still to your left. Those are examples of tanks that have been built. But we also have, to the right, the uppermost right, those are aquaponics. Below, inside that blue thing or container, are fish, while on top someone is growing a crop, some crop. While below there, we have, to the right, but in the bottom, we have what we call rice scum. Someone is growing fish together with the rice. Let's dive into the findings. The census found out that we have a total of 9,463 aquaculture farms nationally. And of these, 6,408 were found in the rural areas, while 3,055 are found in the urban areas. The distribution by sub-region, Buganda sub-region had a total of 1,250 farms, contributing 13.4% of all the total farms in the country. While the lowest was Kampala with only 20 farms. The distribution within sub-regions, let's begin with Kampala capital city and Buganda sub-region. As already said, Buganda sub-region had 1,270 farms, and the highest district with the highest number of farms was Mukono with 161, while Nakasongola had the lowest number of aquaculture farms, that is 10. Inside there, you'll see Kampala too, Kampala city, it had 20 farms. Aquaculture farms in Busoga sub-region. Busoga sub-region had 1,038 farms, and Jinja City had the highest number of farms, that is 197, while Bugwedi had only 20 farms. In Bukedi, we had a total of 564 farms, and Busia had the highest number of farms, that is 140, while Budaka had only 30 aquaculture farms. Ankole had 973 aquaculture farms in total, and Bushenyi had the highest number of aquaculture farms, that is 219, while Buhweju had only 9 farms. In Kigezi, we had a total of 461 farms, and Kanungu had the highest number of farms, that is 127, while Kisoro had only 42 aquaculture farms. In Bunyoro, we had a total of 752 aquaculture farms, and the district with the highest number of aquaculture farms was Chikube with 195, while Chiriandongo had only 20 farms. In Toro sub-region, we had a total of 904 aquaculture farms, and here Kabarole had the highest number of farms, that is 258 farms, while Chitagwenda had only 30 farms. In the Renzori, we had 820 farms, and Kasese had 556 aquaculture farms, while Ntoroko had the lowest with only 16 farms. Acholi sub-region had a total of 315 aquaculture farms, and Padel had the highest number of aquaculture farms, while Lamo had the lowest with only 8 farms. In Lango sub-region, we had 658 aquaculture farms, and in the sub-region, Lango sub-region, Kole district had the highest number of aquaculture farms, that is 206 farms, while Otuke had only 11 aquaculture farms. Bugisu sub-region had 306 aquaculture farms, and Bulambuli district had the highest number of aquaculture farms, that is 121 farms, while Bududa had the lowest with only 16 farms. Teso sub-region had 809 aquaculture farms, and Serere district had the highest number of aquaculture farms in Teso sub-region with 191 farms, while Soroti City had 15 aquaculture farms. In Sebei sub-region, we had a total of 49 aquaculture farms, and Bukwo district had the highest number of these farms. They had 21 farms, while Kapchora had 10 farms. In Karamoja sub-region, we had a total of 39 aquaculture farms, and Nabila Tuk had the highest number of aquaculture farms. There were 9, while Kabong did not have any aquaculture farm in the reference period. West Nile, we had a total of 461 aquaculture farms, and in this sub-region, in the West Nile sub-region, we had Maracha and Nebi districts, each with 103 aquaculture farms, while Pakwach had the lowest number of aquaculture farms, that is 5 farms only. In the Madi sub-region, we had a total of 37 aquaculture farms, and Obongi had the highest, that is 16, while Moyo had only 9. We switched to farm characteristics. And we are going to look at them differently. One, we begin with the nature of production activity. Out of the total of 9,463 farms, 9,190 were grow-out only. This making a contribution of 97.1% of the total farms were only grow-out, while 200 farms were both hatchery and grow-out, translating into 2.1%, and 73 farms were hatchery only, making it 0.8% of all the total farms in the country. Aquaculture farms, by the presence of an aquaculture facility, the farms were asked, are any of the following facilities present on the farm? And the facilities that we are looking at were a fish feed store, a processing unit, a feed mill, a fish feed mill store, machinery and equipment store. Overall, 3,481 farms had a fish feed store on the farm, while 199 farms had a processing unit, 197 had other facilities not mentioned here, and 5,823 farms had no fish feed store, had no processing unit, had no feed mill, and had no machinery and equipment store. Here we are going to dive into the fish species cultured by the farms that we visited. Please look keenly at that picture. So to my left, the gentleman that you're seeing there, please look at them. That is a mirror cup. They are carrying a mirror cup. And then to the right, we are at least familiar with the tilapia, while this other long one that is upside down is the catfish. So grow-out farms by the fish species cultured. The farms were asked, what aquaculture species were cultured during the period between 2024 to June 2025. We found that 7,555 farms cultured tilapia, 4,576 cultured catfish, 234 farms cultured mirror cup, while there were other farms, 164 farms that cultured other species. These other species included like the rainbow trout, the silver carp, the grass carp, and many others. Grow-out farms by using production method. The farms were asked, do you have a particular production method on the farm? And the production methods were ponds, tanks, cages, and others that include pens, raceways, rice cam, and the like. So we found that 8,738 farms use ponds, 198 farms use tanks, 429 use cages, while 243 farms use other methods. Grow-out farms with ponds by sub-region. Buganda sub-region had the highest number of ponds in the country. Buganda sub-region had the highest number of farms with ponds, and that is 1,088 farms with ponds in Buganda, while Kampala had only 10 farms that had ponds. Number of ponds by sub-region and stocking status. The census found that in total, we had 24,348 ponds nationally. And Buganda sub-region had the highest number of ponds with 4,155, while Kampala had the lowest number of ponds, that's 25 ponds. Of the 24,348 ponds across the country, a total of 17,108 ponds were stocked. If you look to your right, the green map, 17,108 farms were stocked. And still Buganda had the highest number of stocked ponds with 2,712 ponds stocked, while Kampala had only 22 ponds that were stocked. Grow-out farms with cages, as already seen, we have 4,429 farms that had cages. And of these, 291 farms with cages were found in urban areas, while 138 farms with cages were found in the rural areas. The number of cages by stocking status and rural urban, we had in total 3,135 cages across the country, and of these 1,827 cages were stocked nationally, if you look at the national bar, that high bar, while 1,308 cages were not stocked. In the urban area, we had 1,033 cages that were stocked, and 754 were not stocked, while in the rural areas we had 794 stocked cages and 554 unstocked cages in the rural areas. Number of cages by sub-region and stocking status. In total, we had 3,135 cages, and Buganda had the highest number of cages, 1,852 cages, while Acholi, Karamoja, Sebei, Bugisu had no cages. Now, out of the 3,135 cages in the country, 1,827 cages were stocked. And still Buganda topped with 890 cages that were stocked. Grow out farms with tanks by rural urban. Nationally, we had 198 farms that had tanks. And of these, 101 were found in the urban areas, while 97 were found in the rural areas. Number of tanks by stocking status and rural urban. We found a total of 699 tanks nationally. And of these, 497 were stocked, while 202 were not stocked. In the urban areas, we had 300 stocked tanks, while in the rural areas, we had 197 tanks that were stocked. Number of tanks by sub-region and stocking status. Excuse me. Nationally, we had 699 tanks, and Buganda sub-region had the highest number of tanks, that is 225 tanks. Still, Karamoja did not have any tanks. Out of the 699 tanks in the country, 497 were stocked, and most of these were found in Buganda. Buganda had 150 tanks that were stocked. Still, Karamoja, since they didn't have any tanks, they remain low with 0. Main purpose of fish farming by species. The farmers were asked what was their main purpose? What was the main purpose of production of tilapia. Okay? And overall, for all tilapia, catfish, and miracarp, the main purpose was mainly for sale. For example, for tilapia, you see that we had 77.3 of the tilapia farms saying it was mainly for sale, while for catfish, 78.8, they also said it was mainly for sale, and miracarp too, 78.2% of the miracarp farms were doing it mainly for sale. We had, for tilapia, we had 13.9% of the farms saying they were doing it for own consumption, while 8.8% did it for other reasons. And the other reasons can be either they are doing it for bait, or they are doing it for training or recreation. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. I'll end here. Allow me to invite my colleague, Mrs. Mukisa, to come and present the next section. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam Flavia. I do stand on the existing protocol. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Constance Nachiemba. And I'm going to proceed with the presentation. So I'm going to take you through aquaculture production. We went out and established the total aquaculture production from the farms. And we are going to start with a number of farms that harvested. We asked a question of if the farm had harvested. So the question was, did the farm harvest any species between July 2024 and June 2025? It was a yes or no response. And out of the 9,390 grow-out farms, we see that only 5,273 farms harvested within the reference period. And tilapia farms that harvested were 4,215, 2,359 catfish harvested, 94 farms that cultured miracarp harvested, while only 26 farms that harvested, other species. We also asked for those that did not harvest. We asked them, what was the main reason why you did not harvest? And specifically for tilapia, we saw that 78.9% of the farms that did not harvest indicated that their stock was not ready for harvest during the reference period. 5.9% of those farms indicated that they had their stock stolen. 3.6% of the farms indicated death of stock as the reason to why they did not harvest, while 8.6% of the farms indicated any other reasons. Now for catfish, 76.8% of the farms also indicated stock not being ready for harvest. 7.3% indicated theft as the reason why they never harvested, and 3.4% indicated fish escaped from their production units. Then death of stock was 2.9. Reasons for not harvesting mirror cap, still the same. Stock not ready for harvest was reported by 70.8% of the farms. Death of stock was reported by 6.6% of the farms. 4.7% of the farms reported theft of their stock, and fish escape was reported by 0.9. We come to the total aquaculture production. These are the volumes. How much was harvested in the reference period? Nationally, a total production of 65,444 metric tons was produced in the reference period. We can see when we break it down by rural urban, 47,050.7 metric tons was produced in the urban areas, and that is a representation of 72.1% of the total production. For rural farms, they produced a total of 18,393.3 metric tons, which is 27.9% of the total aquaculture production. So we are seeing the production by sub-region level. Where is it mainly coming from? We can see that Uganda sub-region produced a total of 55,704 metric tons, and it was the highest. So when we talk about production in aquaculture, the highest concentration was in Uganda. The least produced was in Sebei. If you can see the district in that arm of Uganda, that is Sebei, but it produced 33, and it was the least. We asked this production at a species level. So for each species, we would ask the total quantity that was produced during the reference period. So of the total production in the country, we can see that 55,924.1 metric tons was tilapia production. And this was contributing 82.4% of the total production. So it is the highest. Catfish came second with 11,347.4 metric tons, which was a 17.3% contribution to the total production in the country. Mirror cap production was 111.4 metric tons, which is a contribution of 0.2% of the total country production. And production from other species, those are the grass carp, the silver carp that were talked about, was 61.1%. That's why we lumped them up. We also went ahead to ask questions and collect information on aquaculture inputs that farms used. For us to get this production, we have to use certain inputs. And one of the key inputs was feed. So we asked this to the grow-out farms. And out of the 9,390 grow-out farms, 86.2% reported they had used feed. So the question we asked was, did you use any of the feed types between July 2024 and June 2025? And the different fish feed are indicated there. We had the commercial floating feeds. So these are feeds that usually are sprinkled on the surface of the water and are mainly used for the species that are top feeders. Then commercial sinking feeds, those are industrially manufactured feeds that usually sink down to the bottom, mainly for bottom feeders, species that specifically mostly feed from the bottom. Natural feeds also feeding is a type of feed that, how can I say it? It's a kind of feed farmers use fertilizers to fertilize their production systems so that it allows an environment for phytoplanktons or zooplanktons to grow into the production system, and those are fed on by the fish. Then also some farmers use plant byproducts or waste. Those ones can be found anywhere. Instead of them being wastes, they can be used for feed. Animal byproducts, some people use slaughter waste, some people use offals. Then there is also the non-conventional one, that is the insect larvae. For those of you who have heard about the black soldier fly, its larvae is very good at providing proteins. So some farmer reported that, and insects. So 59.3% to have used farm-made feeds. And 50.8% reported to have used commercial floating feeds, where the least reported was insect larvae or black soldier fly, and it was reported by 7.6% of the farms that used feed. We also collected information on the seed used by farms. So the type of feed usually has different stages. Some farms can choose to use the fry. The fry is the smallest of the fish seed, and it's the one, the picture that is in the middle of the first row represents a fry. Then the other type is a fingerling. A fingerling is a seed that is to an equivalent of like your middle finger. We can see an example of the tilapia fingerling on the right, and then the catfish fingerling. Tilapia fingerling on the left and catfish fingerling on the right. Then a juvenile is slightly mature, slightly bigger than the size of a fingerling. So we can see an example of a juvenile down there. So a seed type used by fish species, we can see that across all species, that is tilapia, catfish, mirrorcarp, the mostly used seed type was fingerlings. Specifically, 70.7% of the farms that cultured tilapia indicated to have used fingerlings. 16.3% indicated they had used the fry, while 8.8% of the farms that culture tilapia indicated they had used juveniles. For catfish, 71.0% of the farms reported they had used catfish. 11.5% reported they had used juveniles. Miracap farms, 16.2% reported they had used the fry. Now, we also asked how many of this seed did you use? So the figure you see here in the circle is the number of seed used in million. So that is the total seed that was used in the country, and it was 93 million. Now, of the 93 million, 75.1% was used by tilapia farms. Sorry, 75.1% was tilapia seed. 24.2% was catfish feed, while Miracap had a share of only 0.4% of that 93 million. We also went to hatcheries, like you saw in the first slides. We went out to hatcheries and asked a few questions. We were asking them the species they breed. Which species do you breed? So we had a total of 247 hatcheries that bred tilapia. We had a total of 119 hatcheries that bred catfish. 21 hatcheries indicated they had bred Miracap, while 13 bred other species. Overall, we have 273 hatcheries established in this census. We also asked the hatcheries of their capacity, installed capacity. So we asked two questions of what is your installed capacity annually, and how much, or what is your total production. So the results you see here in the blue bar, we can see that we had a total of 172.1 million seed installed capacity for tilapia hatcheries. The total production for tilapia hatcheries, however, was 129.9 million seed. So the capacity utilization for tilapia hatcheries is only 75.5%. Then we had a total of 25 million seed installed capacity for catfish, producing a total of 18.28 million seed, operating at a capacity utilization of 74.3%. We also asked farms about their access to extension services. Did you access any extension services? And 53.3% of the farms are reported they had accessed extension services. Out of those that accessed extension services, we asked them, for what reason did you access extension services? So 77.7% of the farms that accessed extension services indicated that they were accessing extension services on fish feed formulation and management. Then 75% were accessing extension services related to production facility siting and construction. Then the least extension service sought was on fish breeding and hatchery management. In summary, the census established a total of 9,463 aquaculture farms. 6,108 ponds were stocked during the reference period. The total aquaculture production was 65,444 metric tons in the reference period. We had a total of 273 hatcheries that bred seed. Then total installed seed production capacity for hatcheries, a total including for the other species, was 200.1 million seed between July 2024 and June 2025, with a total seed production of 149.9 million seed. Thank you for listening to me.
Thank you very much, Constance, for that very detailed technical presentation. Let's give all our presenters a very big hand clap. Our dear chief guest, before we continue, please allow me to recognize a few other people who joined us after we had stated. Dr. Swaibu Mbowa is a senior research fellow from Economic Policy Research Center. He may stand up for recognition, sir. We're also joined by our Director for Legal and Border Affairs, Madam Pamela. She's here present. Also Director, Digital Solution and Data Capability, Mr. James Kiza. I take recognition of all of us who are present physically and online, and therefore, dear chief guest, please permit me to say that the presentation that have been made here today have not just been hollow speeches, but rather a well-generated report geared towards influencing and perhaps facilitating decisions in the aquaculture sector. And of course, these have all been done with the highest level of professionalism, integrity, mutual respect, teamwork, and user orientation. And we request you, chief guest, to allow us to demonstrate this in a very brief documentary. You know, this is the first census of its kind. Edie told us in Africa, and it is only important for us that we really celebrate a little bit these people do. It is good for us to show this to our audience who are here and also who are following us online. So please, the technical team, could you please put on the documentary?
The Uganda Bureau of Statistics was established by the 1998 Act of Parliament as the official agency responsible for coordinating, monitoring, and supervising the national statistical system. The data collected by the Bureau is used to inform policy and guide on evidence-based planning and decision-making. The Bureau conducted the maiden aquaculture census in 2025 to collect specifics in the fish farming industry. Walk through with us as we delve into a detailed account of the same.
Aquaculture is the farming of aquatic organisms, like fish, crustaceans, mollusks, and even plants. It involves interventions like regular stocking, feeding, and protection to raise fish from fry to adult. In Uganda, fish farming is growing as wild stocks stagnate. Globally, Aquaculture now produces over half of all fish consumed, with 130.9 million tons in 2022. There was no centralized data on how many fish ponds existed, what species are grown, or the scale of production. This made it hard for government and partners to support farmers or plan resources.
I'm James Katari. I'm the District Fisheries Officer of Wuyukwe. So far in Wuyukwe, we have covered about 70% of what is supposed to be done. Actually, this exercise is going to help us, first of all, as a district and as government, because now we shall be knowing the number of aquaculture establishments we have, the actual number actually of the establishments we have in the district.
We first make contact with the district officials and we introduce ourselves of why we are in the district. We've done that and we made a courtesy call to the RDC's office, and right now they have given us all the go-ahead to check on the field teams. We are heading to Bulere, which is about a few kilometers from the district headquarters, where we shall meet our guide, and the guide will be the contact person to the enumerator, and we check on how the field work is progressing in the field.
Light Aqua Beach.
Light Aqua Beach.
Yeah.
Fish farmers have long grappled with challenges, from poor farm infrastructure to limited investment and outdated methods.
But the feeds we are getting from outside, which is very expensive. You buy a kilo at 4,500 and you have to feed at least in 9 months so that you can get a good harvest.
The Aquaculture Census 2025 was launched to fill these gaps.
My name is Nakwaki Abdul Majidu. I'm the District Fisheries Officer, Buvuma. Aquaculture Census is very important to the district because we have been capturing data on aquaculture, but not in details. Now that we got a chance from UBOS that funded this exercise, we are going to capture, or we have captured a lot of data that will help the district to plan for the development of aquaculture in the district. Aquaculture census, we have captured a lot of data from farmers. We have captured the data on the production system farmers use, the number of units farmers have, the different equipment farmers use, the volumes captured within the time frame allocated to us, and the challenges. We hope that this data collected will help in the development of aquaculture in Buvuma district.
Both household fish farmers and commercial enterprises are covered, regardless of the production system.
My name is Koire Abdul Rauf. I work with the Uganda Bureau of Statistics. We are looking at getting statistics for the sector. We want to know where the farmers are, aquaculture farmers. We want to know the challenges they are having. We want to know the production systems that they are using to culture their fish. We want to know the species that they are culturing. We want to know where they are marketing their products. We want to know feeding processes that they have. We want to know treatment and so many other aspects that are related to the aquaculture. So we have been using a strategy that when we go to a farm, we do what we call the snowballing. We talk to the farmer after interviewing them. They help us locate any other farmers that are in their locality. So that is the strategy that we have been using to make sure that we comb all these places, being a census that we cover all. We are covering both active and inactive fish farmers.
The census will survey every district engaged in aquaculture, from lakeshore communities to village backyard ponds. It includes all fishing operations like ponds, cages, pens, tanks, and small reservoirs. The goal is to gather comprehensive information on farm characteristics and production. Enumerators will record the number and types of production units, fish species cultured, quantities harvested, and resources used. Why does this matter? The census data will inform policy and investment. By mapping where and how fish are farmed, the government can tailor support to where it's needed most. For example, identifying regions with many ponds may prompt more extension workers or credit programs there. The data will also track progress on national goals like food security, job creation, and environmental sustainability. Stakeholders can use the findings to promote sustainable practices, improve feed quality, and design credit or training programs that boost production. Before fieldwork, UBOS conducted intensive training. They practiced with the digital tablet app and learned how to handle various farming situations. Only after rigorous preparation did teams head out to the different regions. Each enumerator carries a tablet loaded with the digital questionnaire. These tablets run a computer-assisted personal interview copy system. Answers are entered on the spot, and validation checks run in real time. The tablets also record the GPS location of every farm, so we can map precisely where each pond or cage lies. Census teams visited every listed fish farm. At each farm, the enumerator interviewed the owner or manager and recorded 1 year's data. That's from July 2024 to June 2025 in a single visit. Even farms that were rented or jointly owned were included.
You are welcome to Okole Fish Paradise Integrated Farm. This enterprise of fish farming, I started way back in 1997. And I started with a pond. That big pond you see there, I've just been enlarging it, but it was small. That's the time I was doing some construction. I made some bricks there, then there was a big gaping hole. Then I saw, why can't I convert this thing to a fish pond? So that's how this farm started. I used to be a district fisheries officer, Lira district, and I retired way back in 2018. When I got my gratuity, I think 50% of the gratuity I got from government, I put it in this farm.
With this evidence, government and partners can make data-driven decisions to support fish farmers, improve practices, and unlock the industry's potential for food security and growth.
Thank you so much. I think that adds into the value of one and only kind of the report that the country is receiving today. Let's give a big hand clap to all the participants. Just before we go into the next part of the program, chief guest, allow me to recognize Ms. Nabule Claire, Assistant Commissioner, Co-Management representing PS, Ministry of Agriculture, Also recognize Dr. Kubirinza Godfrey Kawoya. He is the head of department, zoology, entomology, and fisheries science, Makerere University. I wish to also recognize the presence of Dr. Winnie Nkalubo, Director of Research for the National Fisheries Research Institute. Oh, she is further back. Thank you so much for coming. We recognize all our stakeholders and all the distinguished invited guests who are here and those who are following us online. So at this moment, we are going to request that we listen from you based on what you have received this afternoon in the form of question and answer or comment, and we shall request you that you keep it very short so that we can keep time. I therefore request that my colleague John can move this microphone, and I will also move this other microphone. Thank you so much.
I'm a microphone user. I'm a digital. Once again, my name is Godfrey Kawoya Kubiriza. I'm a teacher at Makerere University. I want to take this opportunity to thank you, the team that has done this work, and having known it's the first of its kind. The aquaculture fraternity in this room, we appreciate that. I think we've been fighting amongst ourselves, saying which statistics is right. Today we throw 120 metric ton, the other day 140, the other day slightly below or above. So we are glad that now we have an informative report. And it is indeed done by statistics because it shows figures. The report brings out to a few things. With my colleagues here, I was wondering, we didn't expect that we have up to 111 metric tons of Miracap. This is quite surprising. Amongst my colleagues may agree to this, but we shall need a bit of more in-depth understanding of this. Now, for me as a teacher who does a bit of further in-depth analysis, I don't know if when they teach the statistics, they just tell them throw figures and leave them there, or they tell them that interpret them and give them meaning. I would have loved to see how does the 93 million fingerlings you report relate to the production we are seeing. You seem to leave it there, and we would have loved you to guide the country. And then how do these results speak to our claimed production of about 120 metric tons? In other words, are we overestimating, and why do you think we are overestimating? Should we throw completely these results we have been using? The positive and negative side. Where is the deficit? By how much? And when you talk about the inputs which you assessed, the ponds, the cages, versus the claimed target of 1 million ton from aquaculture in the National Fisheries and Policy of 2018? Where are we? Where is the gap? And what do we need in terms of input to meet that gap? Are we daydreaming? Thank you.
Thank you so much. All protocol observed. My name is Oberu Charles. I work with the Ministry of Agriculture, and I work with the Ministry of Agriculture as the Principal Fisheries Officer, responsible for aquaculture production systems. The report The report talks about production in terms of the fish and it categorizes clearly, and I will say definitely it sends back shock waves to me because, as Doctor said, we have been reporting slightly higher figures. So we shall go back and scrutinize this and understand why has it dropped and what could be the reason. Also, my comment will be, could the team have missed out some very important production systems? For example, we have had a lot of stocking in dams, mostly in Teso and Karamoja regions. We have a lot of dams constructed by the Ministry of Agriculture that have been stocked for production. And for me, I feel this is for aquaculture production as well. And then in terms of feeds, I didn't hear a mention, or I don't know whether I was absent-minded, on the quantity we are producing locally, what we are importing, because this all, as my colleagues will attest, has a bearing on our production. Because you've clearly stipulated the quantity of fingerlings, how we are using them, though it's not so much into how we are using them, how much is being used where, but then also would expect something on feeds so that we're able to relate that our production is actually linked to that. Definitely, I believe you mentioned things to do with unconventional methods of feeding fish, which is okay, but we have a very big number of commercial farms that were reported, who were reported using floating and sinking feeds, but what is the quantity? And what is produced locally and what is imported into the country? Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. My name is Andrew Chizitomuganga. I'm a senior lecturer of statistics at the School of Statistics at Makerere University. I would like to say that the methods used, the results, and the presentation is remarkable. It's very excellent. Thank you very much. And I would like to say that for us in academia, you should know that we use these reports quite a lot as benchmarks and also as a literature review for the work we do, and especially for our students. So this is a very good job that UBOS is doing, especially to release very timely reports on the statistics you collect. I should add that we have also other use of the data you collect other than the reports. So, for example, already here, I'm seeing a question. The production seems to be over-skewed in Buganda compared to other regions. So, other secondary questions come up. For that reason, I would like to request UBOS to be releasing the data timely to other users, like in academia. I request that you remove the variables that you think are sensitive, and then you give the users data which you are free to, which you are comfortable with the release. An example in point is the annual agricultural surveys and the Uganda National Panel surveys. They normally take long to be released to us, and we have two challenges. One is that when we try to write about some research, you have arranged such a nice releases. People know that the data is out. So they ask us, why are you using all the data? So that challenges us, even the reviewers, and even the students. They get challenged when they start using old data sets, yet the public knows that UBOS has done current censuses. So the outcomes are that if you give us this data in time, there will be more outcomes, which will benefit UBOS because we always acknowledge the source of the data. And I'm going to report back to my dean that actually UBOS has a lot of data. So all students from UBOS, and thank you for training people. You encourage a lot of people here to go and train. So thank you very much. I commend the management of UBOS. So I'm going to request the dean that if anybody is from UBOS, they should be doing research using only the reports, the data from the censuses and surveys they have used. I think this one will make us to give them the data, and we continue. Thank you so much for the good job.
Let us answer those, because time is not our friend. The rest, I see PS is trying to ask, and they are part of the consultation when they're developing questionnaires. They will still deal with their colleagues in the Department of Agricultural Statistics. I don't want to keep the minister here longer because he has other work. Now on Godfrey Kawoya, we acknowledge your questions. There are deeper understanding analysis that
can be done from a census data set. And I expect thematic reports, monographs, to be generated from this large body of data and statistics. And that's why the academia are here. We don't want to do your work, but if you want us to stop statistical generation, we can also enter. But please, as our colleague from School of Statistics says, we are going to give the data to all of you, academia, EPRC, the ministries, and you do the analysis. Let us do our mandate. In whatever we do, we look at our mandate. Production of official statistics. The interpretation is for other people. I don't want to take Enyumu back home. He still needs here. Soroti is burning. So let him do the other analysis. The quantity of feeds being produced, I think it was part of our objective, and the report has it. And the report cannot have everything that you have collected. That's why other reports are generated. We do not go, this study, the scope of this study did not go on the imports. We have a separate unit that does import and export of goods that are utilized or produced from Uganda. So, if you want to collect the feeds utilized and our internal capacity vis-a-vis the imports, then the trade statistics become handy. But we encourage all of you. I'm also going to authorize the Deputy Executive Director and Director Data Capability to ensure that this data is anonymized and given to the public for their consumption. I've summarized it for all of you. So those of you who have other, I have answered the policy, because all the questions asked were policy questions. For us, we are sticking to our mandate. We don't want to veer off our north. We shall start stampeding on other people's toes. Produce official statistics for academia, for public use, and a policy formulation. I don't want to be the policy formulator. So with that, I saw Dedakas handing over his job. I've never seen such a delegation. Now I'm the chairman. I would like to call upon a representative of FAO to give remarks. Then I'll give permission to invite my minister to make his remarks and launch the report.
Thank you very much, the ED, the chief guest, Honorable Minister, the chair of the board of UBOS, invited guests, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Jacob Oluo. I'm representing Mr. Kasa Ezana, the FAO country representative for Uganda. And the ED, I want to thank you so much with your team. I'm going to be brief. Thank you very much for what we have witnessed today. This has been a big elephant in the house. Personally, I'm the fisheries and aquaculture specialist at FAO country representation. in Kampala. There is no single meeting where we have gone and we have presented aquaculture progress in Uganda and people don't question our figures. Already I see questions coming. The figures that have come up here is a little different from what we have been reporting, but I think we shall leave that to our technical team from UBOS and MAIF. The gentleman from MAIF raised it, so that we report the same figure. As a technical agency based in Uganda, our mandate sometime, when you go Googling, you will see like FAO is the one that generated the data. No, the data is from UBOS and the data is from the ministry. We only help to disseminate maybe through some of the portals that we have. So we shall be waiting when you tell us this is the official figure, and we shall take on from there. Thank you very much for this step towards evidence-based kind of planning that we shall get from this report that has been made public today. Ladies and gentlemen, you know that aquaculture is according to the ED, this is the first of its kind. And we know that there is room for improvement. Being the first, the team that went to the field could be having some few gaps here and there. But I'm sure, as the ED has said, there will be a lot of more discussions of the statistics. The statistics has not been discussed fully for us, but as we read the full documents, possibly all the answers will come out from there. I thank you so much, and we shall take this from here that today we have a very, very evidence-based information that we can use for planning, and we shall continue using it without any deviation. Thank you, ED. Thank you, invited guests. And thank you, our chief guest. And ED, with the few remarks that are made, allow me to stop there and invite the chief guest, Honorable Minister, to come and give his remarks for closing. Honorable Minister, you're welcome.
Thank you so much. The chairman and members of the UBOS board of directors, representatives of the permanent secretary, Minister of Agriculture. We saw the team, the FAO representatives from our development partners, the academia, representatives from government ministries, departments and agencies, the executive director, management and staff of UBOS, the media fraternity, all invited guests in your various capacities, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. I'm glad to join you today as we launch the results from the Uganda Aquaculture Census Report 2025. In the previous dissemination events, we have had here, I already said that UBOS has done her part by giving us quality statistics. And that is only to shy away from saying that stakeholders could now be choking on oversupply of data. And I thought that they deserve a big round of applause for that. Let me say this, that this is a good problem. Some years ago, there were instances when we needed this data and it was not readily available. I was deeply involved. In fact, I led the production of NDPA1. We really struggled to find data. We needed benchmarks, baseline data. It was very difficult. We had to go on websites, various websites like the former representative was mentioning. And much of that data is not properly founded. It has no basis. So we had a lot of challenges. But I think now we are overcoming that problem. Now that we have it, let us use it to make more evidence-based decisions. Fish farming in Uganda presents immense opportunities for socio-economic development in terms of livelihood, income, and employment. As a minister in charge of planning, therefore, I'm happy that as a country, we have received a report which is a blueprint of our aquaculture industry. His Excellency the President has been unequivocal in advocating for the 4-acre model. For the 4-acre model farming, and more understandably, farming with a chibalo. We have just heard from the results that aquaculture farms can be effective and profitable from our farm backyards and utilizing limited pieces of land surfaces. Let me try to go off the script because I was in this industry also. You know, I have tried this and that here and there. But maybe to differ a little bit from the ED, you are giving me a yellow one. Oh, okay. I thought the intentions were different. Yes, I'm differing a little bit. I think this data, because as a country, policy-wise, we are looking at value chains, complete value chains. And I thought that the data should follow these value chains, you know, to be more systematic and to make more meaning for us policymakers and the planners at large, the NIMUs of this world, the planners. So in this industry, it would be so important to establish the challenges all the way across the entire value chain of the aquaculture industry and how it relates also with the capture fisheries in the lakes that is getting depleted and to match the trends in the growth in the aquaculture industry. Because you have seen how the state has been struggling with these people who go in the wild to look for fish. They add nothing to the lake and they want to persistently harvest from there. As a result, the stocks are getting depleted and factories are closing. So our value chain, therefore, should have given more data for us to be able to monitor the trend more clearly, to draw certain conclusions. You know, as the fish stocks are getting smaller from the lakes. Is the aquaculture industry really picking up? And what are the major challenges in the sector? You have left us to guess what the challenges are. I'll give you one challenge. My cousin attempted to grow Nile perch. You know, in the fish stock you had here, the species, you did not have Nile perch. But for lack of knowledge and to know where to secure that knowledge, someone came and told him that when you grow Nile perch, you'll become a very rich man. So he dug a very big lake. It is here in Nasana municipality, you know, to grow Nile perch, only to find out later, after establishing a very huge lake, very deep, and for lack of knowledge he was doing all these things. Someone who claimed to be an expert was giving him all this wisdom. So he did not know where to go. Now, in terms of knowledge, most people don't know where to go. This study established the source of knowledge, where this knowledge comes from if I'm to engage into aquaculture. That information is actually not there. So the value chain issue. This gentleman lost a lot of money excavating a huge lake. He lost money in billions. In fact, he sold a forest. He had a big forest. He sold the forest to establish an aquaculture farm. But the lake is there, very beautiful. In fact, he has turned it into a tourism site. He has moved into something else. Now he's considering constructing some hotels there. But at the moment, he's fairly broke. You know, that dam he dug, he sunk, consumed all the money. So therefore, knowledge becomes a very big impediment in the sector, and where to go to access this knowledge. This same man told me that aquaculture is very profitable, and I chose to go into catfish. My friend, it was another huge challenge. Feeds were a serious problem. The presenters did not emphasize that problem here. There is one company that imports the feeds from, I think, Netherlands. I'm trying to remember the name. I think it's called Kawadis. Yes, that is the one that imports feeds. And when you compute the costs vis-a-vis the price of fish, you're actually not breaking even. So all these are challenges in the sector. I tried it. I had sunk about 17 large ponds with clean water sources, because you have to recharge the water with oxygen if the fish is to remain alive. So all these are things involved in the sector. Someone listening to this whole story can live here and say, let me go and grow fish. It is very profitable. But our report does not seem to go into the areas of the profitability data that is involved in aquaculture. So in my opinion, I would think that the value chain, we should start the culture of capturing entire value chains of enterprises. And I think that is what the 10-fold strategy Mr. Nyim is envisaging. Value chain. How do we get from $50 billion of GDP to 500 through value addition? And by the time you get to value addition, the chain should have been clearly studied. You know? So, and now you are the official source of statistics. We have to rely on you to get the data from the entire value chain. So it does not have to be bits and pieces of data within a value chain, or a value chain that is not properly coordinated. Otherwise, we shall burn our fingers. I did even go, I had designed it in such a way that I roast the fish that catfish, but feeds let me down. And in fact, I said this to the president. If we want to promote aquaculture, we must invest in what? Feeds production. I told him from my personal experience, and he agreed, because he was also talking about getting people from the wetlands and putting them along the boundaries of those wetlands for purposes of climate, enhancing our climate natural capital. So he laid that strategy, and I remember telling him that that can only be possible if you ensure two things: providing more oxygen to those ponds, but also ensuring that the feeds are adequately available in the country. And remember, just recently, a few months ago, he launched a feed manufacturing plant in Njeru. I think it is in Njeru, and more are coming up. So we really need to get all the data, the information, the challenges, when studies of this kind, the emerging issues from these. And there's nothing wrong with both joining hands with other sectors of government. For example, you had agriculture. What were they doing in this? What were they doing in this survey? They should have done the analysis so that by the time of reporting, we have got a comprehensive report. But this is not to say that you did not do your mandate. You did your mandate. It's just a proposal that going forward, we need the value chain to be fully captured. So going forward, the message to our people should be clear, that we can all earn sustainable incomes from a stream of projects, including aquaculture, and graduate into the money economy. Real agriculture pays if we can solve the problem of feeds. This report should guide all policymakers and stakeholders to support increased formalization of the aquaculture sector through advocacy for caged fish farming and establishment of aquaculture parks. As a country, we are naturally gifted with lowlands, wetlands, some with all-year seasonal water supply to support optimal aquaculture farming. We have seen from the results that aquaculture practices can even be integrated with other crops, such as rice. From these results, we should also educate ourselves on the policy options necessary to be into place to support the sector without hurting our environment, which should be intentionally conserved for the present and future generation, for posterity. The aquaculture sector has the potential of boosting food security, household incomes, domestic revenue for government, and foreign exchange. We have been in Addis looking at SDGs, and I think the chair also alluded to this. The Prime Minister has been the chair of the Africa Regional Forum for Sustainable Development Goals. Those goals are outcomes of what we do. So if we invest in sectors like this, we are likely to see positive results in the outcomes. We have only about 4 years to go towards 2030 to the end of the attainment of those goals. So what are we going to report? So it is sectors like these that are going to respond to some of those goals. The body of evidence contained in this report should help us transform the sector from being small scale to rather more formalized commercial establishment, which comes with more macroeconomic advantages. So we need the Ministry of Agriculture prevalent in this sector. I think the ministry should take this message. We need you there in the sector Nobody knows me that I even exist in this sector. Down there, not very far, a few kilometers. So we need to see the relevant sectors, even the academia, taking this story further beyond where UBOS has stopped. Conservation of traditional fish species. You know our fish is very delicious. Improved quality of fish species. When you look at the Chinese tilapia, it has got a small head and a bigger body. That's how they designed it. You know, how is our species like? The other one, a buyer benefits more from a Chinese tilapia than a Ugandan tilapia, full of bones with a huge head, you know. So all these are issues for some of you, the researchers, to help us. And the issue of value addition, and I want to thank NARO. They came up with technologies for roasting this fish. From the traditional method of roasting, is it called roasting, drying? Smoking, yes, smoking fish. They are doing it much better. But I have not seen them very visible on the market yet. But they have a technology for doing value addition. And the Congolese like this smoked fish a lot, including you Ugandans. When you cook, the ladies know, you mix fish with ghee nut paste. Oh, it's very delicious, really. You know, it is the first one to go in these restaurants. So value addition for both local and cross-border consumption is very critical. The sector should also potentially boost the nutritional health of Ugandans. We should all be reminded that this report is beneficial to both the government and the ordinary person, and you can see I'm already beginning to use it. Government already prioritized aquaculture, and this data should support investment decisions to support production, storage. Storage is still a problem, processing, and marketing of aquatic products. We are aware that this is a key pillar in the parish development model, which also rhymes with financial inclusion. The ordinary Ugandan can, among others, use this data to ensure that the parish revolving fund availed by government through PDM is deployed effectively within the aquaculture sector, targeting the fish species that are a delicacy and highly marketable. With numbers, these should be easy decisions for our people to make. Now, if you want to support fish, you know now where to go. It is within the Buganda region, mainly. But there are people with 0 ponds. You know, as you go there, you know you are starting from scratch. So you can make a few policy decisions using this data. The NRM government at priority has targeted that the economy should take a leap, a qualitative leap, and rise to the US dollar 500 billion threshold of GDP by 2040, which will place Uganda into the upper middle income status. To achieve this target, we should all be interested in diversifying our economy to ensure that every Ugandan is actively involved in the production value chain. Diversification is very key. This over-reliance on coffee and a few traditional cash crops is not what we want. Once again, I appreciate that UBOS has made every effort to ensure that we get credible and quality data to support the implementation of government programs and championing the transition of our people from subsistence farming practices to modern and commercial-based practices. UBOS, actually, you are recognized yesterday but one in that continental forum of the Africa Regional Forum for Sustainable Development for availing data to measure our progress in terms of SDGs. Uganda, we don't have a shortage of data. Other countries are really suffering. It should be our focus to support value addition to ensure our gains are consolidated. We call it protecting our gains. Quality statistics and data are a key enabler of the effective implementation of our National Development Plan series. Because really, if you cannot measure what you are doing, then you should not do it at all. More especially now that we have already rolled out the NDP4. So they are producing data to be able to report on NDP4. This data should make monitoring and evaluation of the NDP4 targets much easier. As I conclude, I strongly encourage all government ministries, departments and agencies, particularly in this case, the Ministry of Agriculture. I think this is a big eye-opener, this kind of survey. You said the first of its kind in Africa. Dr. Mukiza, we should do it on a couple of other sectors. I've found it very useful. And I want to thank the team of experts. Let's give them a round of applause. This is the beginning, and a very good beginning. And I would want to see this in different sectors. Mr. Senon, yeah, this is very good. We should pursue this trend further, because this is where our productive economy is. You know, which are the key drivers of the economy. This is where they are. And when we get data, it helps us to know how we are moving. Now we know who is growing fish in Uganda, who is not. So we can determine the policy actions based on that data. So I want to encourage all government ministries, departments and agencies, the private sector, development partners and all stakeholders to make use of these results and where necessary, make deeper analysis to ensure that we realize greater impact. But you know, most people may not do it. May not do that analysis. I'm suggesting that we can create teams that can help us to further this analysis. When we wait for other people to do it, they may not do it. So what happens? Yet we want to inform government. And you know, we are a team. Ministry of Finance, we are there. We are so many there. Planning Authority, we are so many there. We can work with you and some ministries, you know, and draw further influence from this data. By making use of this body of evidence, we shall continue to plan for a country better, resulting into improved welfare levels of our citizens. Remember, we have said we shall attain upper middle income status by 2040. And it's from such things that we shall attain that status. So it is now my pleasure to officially launch this Uganda National Aquaculture Census Report 2025. And we shall proceed there to unveil this report. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, our chief guest, for those very wonderful remarks. Let's give our chief guest a big hand clap. And also invite the ED with the entire team to join the chief guest at the unveiling of this report, Aquaculture Census 2025. So if you are observant enough today, the chief guest is in a blue suit, the ED is in a blue suit, the deputy ED is in a blue suit, perhaps because water is in blue color, well known worldwide. But let us, John, you can come and help the chief guest so that we can have this report unveiled to everybody. And like, John, please. I hope the audience has heard. Can we continue clapping? Let's clap, let's clap, let's clap, let's clap. The first one of its kind. Thank you so much. The minister will therefore proceed to sign on the report. And it doesn't mean we stop clapping. Can we clap? Yes, let's continue clapping in appreciation of this moment and of course of this very important day in the aquaculture sector that the Bureau has released this report. Thank you so much. So there comes the ED, like I always say, with the signature, coming from the bottom, climbing up. So let's give him a very big hand clap as he signs on this report. Thank you so much, Doctor. Thank you for confirming this evidence. That is our acting chairperson of the board, Director Rosette Nakavuma, also appends her signature. Let's give her a big hand clap. We have the representative of the PS, Minister of Agriculture, appending her signature on the report. And then the team, the technical team who made the presentation, you wish to join to sign on the report. Makerere University, EPRC, Minister of Finance, EPRC, please join the minister to sign the report. Thank you. Thank you. The team is here, the presenters. That is Director Economic Statistics, Madam Aliziki, with her entire team, also appending their signatures. So after this, I will request that the ED and the team who is seated up here will take the first shot of the photograph. Director from Naro, you were seated slightly behind. Kindly join here. Commissioner, please join to sign. You see, these are so many signatures, so there is no single doubt that this is going to really be used for planning and the policy formulation. But also it is going to change the way we debate on aquaculture, that we shall no longer debate by imaginations. We now have the data available to us. So the camera teams, are you prepared to take this shot? Thank you. John, you can now move it aside. So let's first of all have the ED here. First wait. Let's wait. Let's have this shot first. Then the rest of the members will join. Okay. Behind, you can go behind. Can climb up there. Okay. So after this, we are going to have lunch. There's lunch for everyone. There's also a QR code on the screen. We request you that you evaluate the process, kindly scan through, and let's hear your feedback. It is good for us. It helps us to think better in the future. So thank you so much, Chief Guest. Thank you, ED. And thank you all distinguished invited guests present. We shall have a quick media interview, and then we shall proceed to have lunch. The function has been adjourned.